Are live on Facebook with the one and only Jeff Pfitzer. Jeff, I appreciate you coming on chatting with us, man.
Of course, man. My wife would agree that it's a good thing that there's only one and only of me because
what I was hoping I could bring Jeff on, guys, is a lot of us use social media personally, but we get a lot of questions about how do you even start using it from a business standpoint. And Jeff has taken it definitely to the extreme in what he does. He's definitely become, one of the experts and one of the masters in the real estate world and the video world and the Instagram world. I'm pretty sure he basically runs Instagram at this point. But he knows more about this stuff. He knows more about this stuff than anybody I know. He's one of my coaches. He also coaches, Social Genius, which is both myself and Caitlin are a part of. And yeah, thanks, Jeff.
You bet, man. Well, you tell me kind of where do you want this to go today? You want to keep this as an open forum? I mean, how do you want me to share? Because I guess it would be nice to know who I'm talking to as well. Like what professions everybody's coming from. What do you guys all want to gain from this? Because I can talk on this for days.
So it's all agents. I think we might have some rescue people that join us just to kind of get the ideas. But I really want to just give people that haven't really started or just in the beginnings of starting the business side to use their social media for business, how they even get started. Because I know most people just don't know how to get over that first hump.
Yeah.
I did throw together some questions. My very first question for you is the first step. What's the first step you would take if people are going, okay, right now I just use Facebook to talk to my family. I don't really use Instagram. I watch TikTok videos when I'm bored. What's the first step you would have people take from a business standpoint?
Well, I think before you can even get to that point, you have to get past the psychology piece because everyone gets in their own head and has their own personal objections as to why they can't or shouldn't shoot video. And so let me go ahead and share my screen and share some slides with you. If you don't mind, if you can give me host or sharing ability. Let me first talk about the psychology behind it first, or just some data. Let me give you some stats.
Perfect. You should be able to.
I'm going to share a presentation, but I'm going to do it loosely. I'm just going to leave it here because I'm going to jump around. This isn't going to be formal. So let's start here. Let me just show you some recent stats because I just spoke in Florida last week and it was all about video. And so this is kind of how I start. I kind of start with the psychology behind it. And first things first, video is preferred by 80% of people over written text. I mean, that's just the way the world is going. There are still some people out there that prefer text, but by and large, most audiences want to watch things now. Emails with videos. So if you are a real estate agent or you have email as any part of your business, emails with videos have a 300% higher click-through rate than those without. Not to mention, you're really establishing a relationship with your client. So even if you were never to post a video on social media, which I understand there are some that believe that, I would say you should absolutely have some service like a BombBomb in your business. And BombBomb's what we use. There's a bunch of options out there, but where you can send video emails, the ability to create a connection and articulate much clearer than what you could write in 2 or 3 paragraphs is much more effective through a video, and it's 1-to-1, so it's a lot less scary. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you're scared of doing a 1-to-1 video, but yet you're willing to go sit in a conference room across the table from people and have the same conversation, I mean, like, think about that, right? I would argue it's much more difficult or much more daunting to actually sit face to face with somebody versus doing it via video. And Joe, we have, and so actually I'm a part of a mortgage company, and that's one of my jobs. But if I had a number on how many times one of my loan officers came back to me and said, I won this client, and they came back to me and said, we're going with you because of your video, because I helped it understood better, because we just can understand things better than when we're reading text. And especially when you're talking about the biggest transaction of their life, when it comes to real estate. And not to mention, it also makes your job more efficient because you can do like a screen share and you can walk somebody through a contract and just make save yourself a whole hell of a lot of time for when you're meeting with them, so you have more valuable time with them. So that's that. Consumers are 20 times more likely to share a video. So this is a lot more relevant to social. But when I do my social presentation, I talk a lot about what's relevant as it relates to video on social. And we as a society have been bred in recent years to be so just consumed with virality and views and likes. And the reality, especially as we go forward, is that's all vanity, and it doesn't necessarily matter. It's more about making a connection with people. And ultimately, my goal when I'm creating video for social media is not for the vanity. That just feeds my ego. That just makes me feel good. Ultimately, what I want my audience sharing my videos, which is giving me free promotion, free advertising. And I want my audience saving my videos, because it means that I said something or shared something so profound that they want to go back and watch it again. The third thing that I'm looking for is engagement. I want people to actually feel like they should take the time to comment on my video, which now is a hand raiser saying, talk to me. And as we all know, if you guys are in any business where you're chasing any form of lead, not only do humans not like to be bothered, it's only going to get worse and worse, because the younger generations are very much against phone calls. They're even against texting. They want to meet you on their turf, which is social media. And oftentimes they don't even want to talk to you until they've already established a parasocial relationship with you, which means a one-sided relationship where they can essentially stalk you and go learn about you through your video content. That's just the reality. That's where the world's going. That's what millennials and Gen Zers, that is going to be the expectation in the coming years. Another good stat is, according to 83% of video marketers, utilizing video has helped lengthen the amount of time website visitors spend on their page. So if you have a website, having a video front and center at the very top is what's going to get people to spend more time there. They don't want to read a bunch of text. They want to quickly get a quick summary. What am I getting myself into? That's what they want. And so having that for them is very useful. And then 90% of respondents indicated that they very much or somewhat enjoy watching a video content from brands online, with less than 4% sharing they don't like watching brand video content. So, this kind of tells you everything you need to know. It's who do you want to market to? Do you want to market to the 90, or do you want to market to the 4? Well, where's opportunity? And so I think that is, really drives home a lot of the point. The one thing I will also share, which is what I call the great debate, and there's nothing to do with toilet paper. That was just my favorite little GIF. But I had a quote unquote debate with the president of my company a couple of weeks ago. Actually, he sent out a video, and I'll tell you this quick little story. He sent out a video. He sends these inspirational things out from time to time, and they usually have cartoons attached to them. And this particular one was a picture or an image of a worker at a retail store staring outside the window across the street at their competition. And it was their manager standing behind them saying, maybe if you stop focusing so much on what your competition is doing, you could actually focus on your own consumer. And it was actually a great analogy. It was a great little cartoon. And I actually replied all to the company, which is over 1,000 people, and said, this is great. It's very similar to social, because everybody knows me as the social guy in our company. And I said, it's the exact same thing. Like, the biggest mistake I see especially our industry, Joe, real estate in general, the biggest mistake that we make as an industry is we follow the leader. And we rush to social to take pictures at closing. We rush to social to do Monday market updates. We rush to social to stand in front of our listing, assuming and thinking that that's what our audience wants on social, which it isn't. It's not why they go there. It's what we selfishly want them to want, right? And so I commented on this email, and he took it the wrong way, because I think I ended it with saying, Doug, I think the question we need to ask, and his name is Doug Shukar. I said, the question we need to ask is, do they even care? And I think he took that as I was saying that to him, which what I meant was, do our audiences really care? Moral of the story was he quipped back really fast and said, I don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you focus on helping your team grow their business? And of course, that really, my fumes going out of my head. And I was like, oh, here we go. And so he and I ended up debating. I replied to the entire company as a joke. I didn't debate him to the entire company. I just replied and said, Doug, the retirement home is online too. Apparently you got out again. And the reason I said that is we have that kind of a relationship because he got several emails from people who don't know us saying, is Pfitzer getting fired? But the truth is, and where it led me was, I said, Doug, and it was a great, if you guys are from St. Louis, you might know who Doug Shukar is. He's, the founder of USA Mortgage, was one of the best loan officers in the St. Louis market ever, a phenomenal loan officer in his day, more through the 90s was his time. And he will debate that, obviously it's pounding the pavement. It's calling on real estate offices. It's doing a magnificent job throughout the transaction. It's knowing your product. It's all of the things that are traditional, right? And I told him, I said, Doug, someone like you will be great in any era because you're an anomaly. You're a unicorn. You're phenomenal. You are the best of the best. And because he always tells me, Pfitzer, what you're doing with video and social is above most people's heads. They'll never be at your level. And I'm like, I kind of disagree. I don't disagree, but my argument to him is this: as we go forward, I said, I'll take my strategy over yours. And here's how I would articulate it. Doug, you do a fantastic job in a transaction, whether you're a real estate agent or a loan officer, you do just a magnificent job. The customer's happy and everybody, goes off into the sunset. I said, you're going to add them into your CRM. You're going to drip on them over the next however many years. Let's just say it's 5 years until they need to transact again. I said, you're going to drip on them for that long. And it's going to be very traditional. Odds are they're probably going to opt out of your communication anyway, because they didn't sign up for your CRM because it's really just spam. I said, meanwhile, I am going to follow through on my aggressive nature on social media. And I said, let's just say with this consumer, I have something in common with them. They have a child that's a similar age. We both enjoy golfing. They also like birds. They enjoy traveling, whatever it is. We just have something in common. And now all of a sudden I establish a parasocial relationship with them, a relationship where because I'm posting every single day, they've engaged my content. And now every single time they open up whatever app they're on, I'm showing up. And I said, so over the next 5 years before they need to transact again, you did a magnificent job. I won't take that away from you. But now I've established a personal relationship with them, not personal, but it's parasocial personal. And they feel like they know me. I said, I will take the odds that 8 or 9 out of 10 in 5 years will now transact with me in the future and not you. Not because you sucked at your job, because I've done a better job of establishing a relationship with them. And I said, I'll take mine. And I said, in about 5 years, I bet it's 10 out of 10. And so I said, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but if you have a choice, what do you want to do? Do you want to be the person that's doing it the old fashioned way that obviously robots are going to be coming and taking your job? Or do you want to do things in an evolved way, in a new age way, because times are evolving? And that is embracing video, embracing social as a way to stay top of mind, like the truest top of mind, meeting your consumer where they want to be met, which is not cold calling them. It's not door knocking them. It's not, it's not sending them postcards. It's not putting them in a CRM, because if you really think about all of those methods, you're not meeting them where they're choosing to be met. You're forcing your content on top of them. And so oftentimes it gets ignored, if not completely just shut out. And so now, Joe, that we've got past that psychology, I think that's where it starts, man. I think it starts with embracing and realizing that this isn't just video, and social are not entertaining extras anymore. They are an absolute necessity going forward for businesses. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be in business, you're going to have to embrace it to give yourself an upper hand. Well,
and I think I came out of the KW world and we talk about 37 touches, 90 touches, however many touches. I think social media takes place, not necessarily replaces, but takes the place of so many of those touches. I would imagine my past clients get touched by me more on social media than they do from everything else I do combined.
100%. Yeah, I would agree. And not only that, but it actually makes networking easier. So I'm not saying you take what we talk about today or what you learn and apply it and it replaces everything that you've ever done. Absolutely not. Like, this is no different than if you choose to commit to farming a neighborhood. If you know anybody who farms effectively, they're going to tell you, you better be ready to commit to 2 to 3 years. This is going to take time. And so this is a supplemental strategy that makes connecting with your audience easier. And so when, like, for example, Joe, when I started doing this and I started to go to network events, this is pre-COVID, and I would go to a BNI event, or I would go to a chamber event, or just an industry event. What I found that was really an aha moment for me was when I walked into that room, I was recognized. And now it made that awkward, solicitation when you walk into a meeting. Hey, how's it going? How's the family? How's business? Which we really don't give a shit about any of that stuff. It now made connecting with people, so it almost made them more comfortable, because now they spotted somebody they know, they've watched me on social, and it came up to me and said, I saw this recently. That was so awesome. It just makes connecting with people. Not to mention, you create sort of a digital celebrity status. And, we think of celebrities, we think of, Tom Cruise, LeBron James, right? We think of famous people. But the way I describe this is, how many of you have gone to an event over your lifetime where the quote unquote celebrity at the event was a local newscaster? I know I have. Like, it's been Mike Bush or Zipper Zeppa, whatever. You know who I'm talking about if you're in St. Louis. And when you really think about it, they're not celebrities. In fact, if you're in real estate and you're successful in real estate, they make far less money than you do. But guess what? We have this psychology that we have in our human brains that if we see someone on a screen, they're a celebrity. And so although you're never going to look at yourself as a celebrity, as you build a brand on social and you consistently put your face in front of the camera, you go to church, you go to the grocery store, you go out in public, you start to get recognized. And there is something that humans have where they see you more often, they want to do business with you. For most, I would say 9 out of 10. I mean, maybe there's always going to be that anomaly that says, no, I want to work with the person that I worked with in the past. I want to work with the person who has the most sales. Most people want to work with the people that they feel like they know or that they see the most, period. And that's just the actual data.
Absolutely. And I think, with what we do with the rescue guys, it's a chance to build that relationship with the rescue folks. I'll tell you, this was my big win. I actually shared it with our coaching group. I went to get my hair cut. For those of you that know me for a while, I got a lot of this cut off. And when I went, the lady said, when I sat down, she said, I just have to tell you, you're that dog realtor. I know you. Now, I've never met her before. I have no clue who she is. Now that I looked her up, I'm like, oh yeah, she does like a lot of my stuff and comment. But that's what you want, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be the celebrity to everybody, but I do want to be the person that the rescue community knows is there for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's local. It's local celebrity. And that's the thing. And really, celebrity is a loose word and an extreme word. But I can tell you, I'm just an average dude from the Midwest. We're nothing special, as anybody knows. In fact, most people on the coast don't even realize that we even exist. But what I've realized with doing this, which was not, I cannot sit back and say 6-7 years ago, I conceived this brilliant idea. No, I just was trying to figure out how to differentiate from one of my competitors. And I thought he'd never put himself in front of a camera. And so I went all in. And then it started opportunities just started happening. And then here we are. And so, I mean, getting back to your original question, Joe, I mean, that's where it starts, like mentally. And honestly, that is by far the hardest part. The technical piece of this can be taught by a teenager. In fact, I was taught by a teenager. That's the reality, because this is second nature to them. Then there's also YouTube. There's all these tools, and I'll share some of that stuff with you. But the psychology is the hardest part. Get over yourself. You don't like the way you look. You don't like the way you sound, but you still look and sound the same way to your audience. And frankly, let's be honest, your audience doesn't care. They care about what they see in the mirror. They're consumed with themselves, just like you're consumed with yourself. And so you just have to let all of that stuff go. I don't think we talk about it enough, Joe. You go to conferences and it's like, okay, here's the tools you need. Here's this. And it's like, I just got to strike up the courage to press play. And then what do I talk about? And those sort of things. And I really do believe that you have to, you as the listener here today, that's really the biggest piece for you, is that commitment to yourself. Not only am I going to do this, but I'm going to do it consistently. And I know that I'm going to suck when I start. I know that this is not natural for me. It's not natural for anyone. And a practice makes perfect. Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan because he shot more shots than most people, right? That's the reality. Michael Phelps is the best because he swam more laps. You become good at video. People look at me and say, wow, you're so good at video. Why? I've shot thousands of videos now in the last 6, 7 years. I've just gone all in. I've committed to this process. And that's what it takes. And so you may not want to be my status or my level, but here's the deal. The reality is, those of you who are here today, you're already in a small minority, the small minority of people that are actually willing to do it. Most people won't even show up today because they don't want to hear some other jackass tell them they need to get in front of a camera. They're tired of hearing it, right? And so you need to think about that and say, well, I'm already a leg up on them because I'm at least willing to be here and spend an hour of my time trying to be convinced that I need to do this.
Let me go into a little bit of what Jeff just said there too, because I will say junky video is better than no video, right? My biggest viewed video is a video I did of my cat drinking out of my tea glass that I didn't mean to post. I meant to post a different one and I posted that one and people just love it for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's not produced. It doesn't have, I don't even think it has like music on it. I think it's literally just the video of her walking up and drinking my tea. I think that that's one of the things that we get hung up on is everybody wants it to be perfect. And it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Yep.
It just needs to be done.
Yep.
You know, one thing I did want to ask you, so, because I know you're a big Instagram guy, I tend to lean towards Facebook. If somebody was going to choose, is there a single platform that you would say is best for business? Or just whichever one you feel most comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so first of all, that's the latter part of that statement. Whatever you're most comfortable. However, understand the opportunity that exists. And so I preach Instagram for two primary reasons. One, it's owned by Facebook, so they talk to each other. So you can kill two birds with one stone. The other reason why I preach Instagram is if you really want to take this serious, Instagram is the far more advanced platform. So getting comfortable on the more advanced platform, the copycat of TikTok, because TikTok, whether we like it or not, is by far the most advanced social platform. TikTok has changed the way we now expect to watch content. It's changed the way Super Bowl commercials are now. It's changed the way we consume, right? And so and Instagram copied it, YouTube copied it, Facebook copied it. And so I encourage audiences because you can still focus on Facebook, but if you want to really commit to doing it better, you're going to have more tools on Instagram. And yeah, it's going to seem very foreign to you in the beginning, and you're going to struggle to grow an audience on Instagram because it's very hard. But you know what? You might get extra 200-300 followers that you didn't have maybe on Facebook. And now you've got 200 or 300 new eyeballs that could turn into a customer. And so I believe in spreading your seed as far and wide as you can. I post to 6 social platforms, and a lot of it's just regurgitated the same content. Some of it's very
specific.
What are
those 6? I'm missing one.
It's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter.
Oh, LinkedIn. That's the one I'm not doing.
Yeah. And LinkedIn's powerful. I mean, LinkedIn is my least favorite because it's too professional for me. If you've met me, I mean, look at this is how I dress every day. It's too professional for me, but there's opportunity on LinkedIn because you can target on LinkedIn, unlike any other platform, whereas they've all been shut down on targeting, especially our real estate field. And so I can just get away with targeting on LinkedIn much, much easier. But I find that people are less engaged on LinkedIn, but people that love it, like, there are people that they spend all of their time on Instagram. Actually, most consumers, like, first of all, wrap your head around this. Most consumers spend all of their time in one app. Like, the average human being, your client, is partial to one or the other. And they either spend most of their time on Instagram, most of their time on Facebook, most of their time on TikTok, most of their time on YouTube. So that's why I want to spread that seed far and wide, because most consumers are not bouncing from app to app to app to app. And so, and then on top of that, Joe, it's important to know that roughly 10% of your audience is seeing every one of your posts, maybe 10%. So if you spend hours, days, weeks putting together what you think is the perfect post, it doesn't matter how amazing it is. still maybe only 10% of your audience is going to see it. And that's why consistency trumps perfection, because you got to understand there's a computer algorithm operating these platforms, and they're going to reward you for consistency, and they're going to help you show up more often. And you have to understand that the name of the game is, if I don't put out content that my audience engages with, then I'm not going to show up on anyone's feed. Because, and that's the mistake a lot of real estate agents make, is they go all in on what I mentioned earlier, which is the traditional real estate type posts, thinking that's what their audience wants. They get no engagement because Susie homeowner and Joe home seller and your neighbors, when they open up Facebook, that's not what they see. They see puppy dogs, and no pun intended here, but literally they see dogs, they see kids, they see travel, they see boats, they see cars, and because that's what they're interested in. Nobody's interested in real estate except for us. And that's why that's all we see, because the algorithm knows it. And so understanding that the object is leaning into who you are authentically. And so I didn't even go back to what you originally said, Joe. Not just the commitment to doing more video, but really thinking about your content strategy as a documentation of your life, your own little reality TV show, whatever that is. And so whatever it is that you're into, and obviously for some of you, it is the rescue thing, which is, by the way, taking candy from a baby when it comes to marketing. Puppy dogs and toddlers are easy ways to steal eyeballs, and you should take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Not to mention you're doing wonderful things in the process.
Here. Well, you kind of killed two of my questions, but one of those is, would you focus on being really good at your favorite platform, or would you focus on making sure your content hits every platform?
Well, that's why I say Instagram, just because then I know that and you can do this on Facebook too, by the way. I know that but if you're committing to an Instagram or Facebook, it doesn't matter. You can connect them. So every time you post, it will automatically post to the other platform. The only time it doesn't post is if you're sharing something within. So if Joe goes and shares my reel on Instagram, it's only going to share to his Instagram, not to his Facebook. But if you organically post to Instagram or Facebook, a story or a reel or a feed post, you can there's a little connection button that you can have in your settings, and it automatically connects and posts over to your other page.
Perfect.
For a quick second, some of you may know that I have just foster failed a dog, and I want to introduce Shasta for 1 second. This is Shasta, 120-pound, 30-pound white German Shepherd, and as of last week, a fire starter.
Oh yeah, God bless you.
Yeah, that was the one that decided to grab something off my stove and started a fire.
That's fantastic.
See, that needs to be
to interrupt your education, but I thought you ruined it.
No, but that needs to be a video, Janice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that needs to be a video.
How come it needs to be a video?
Because it's funny, and because it's dog and house related.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, anything I can figure out that's dog and house together, oh man, we're making a video out of it.
Well, that brings up a good point. And I had somebody ask this recently. I actually did a mastermind at a local Keller Williams, actually, and it was a few weeks ago. And one of the agents asked me, a big name realtor, actually, some of you might know her, Angela Kittner, and she said, I got for Christmas, I think it was ducks. Like her kids got her ducks for Christmas. And she's like, and she's like, I know what you're going to say. Like, that's amazing content. And she was right. And she's like, but I'm just thinking to myself, why does my audience care? And I said, Angela, but yet you're not afraid to post every freaking real estate, anything possible. And you think they care about that? Like, that's selfish. You're selfish for thinking that they want to know about real estate, because they don't. Even when they're in the process of buying, they're not really that interested in real estate content unless it's HGTV, right? And so, but here's the reality, and this is why I think I've already mentioned, but when your consumer, when humans roll over in the morning and grab their phone and open up a social media app, when they're sitting on the toilet and they open up a social media app, when they're sitting at work and they open up a social media app, when they're sitting in public transit, when they're wherever, when they're sitting at the dinner table, why did they open up the social media app? For mindless content, mindless entertainment. They want ducks. They want stupid shit. That's just the reality of it. And so understanding that and realizing that that's your own limiting belief, that why does my audience care? Because guess what? If they don't care, they won't watch. You're not annoying them. You're not cold calling them. You're just putting it on their feed and you're seeing what sticks. And if it creates a conversation, bingo, you just won. And the truth is, you all know, I mean, for those of you that are real estate agents, there's a stat that NAR puts out every year. And it's something to the effect of roughly 90% of homeowners would use their real estate agent again. And roughly 10% actually does. Why? Not because you sucked at your job, because you sucked at staying in touch with them. And you dropped them into a CRM that they opted out of because they felt like you were spamming them. And you didn't do a good job of staying in touch with them on a personal level, which the best way to do that is non-invasively through social media, because you're not forcing your way in. They can scroll past, they choose to stop, they choose to follow, they choose to be your friend. And that's why I think, again, Joe, it's understanding that psychology of why they're going to social. And if you go to social and you vomit your business all the time, you're going to get a lot more quote unquote opt-outs, not legitimate opt-outs, but they're not going to engage, which means you're not going to show up on their feed, which means it's not going to do its job. And so that's why you have to give them. So going back to Janice's question, why? Because it's relatable. People want relatable. I mean, you know, the truth is we watch reality TV, like we watch the Kardashians, because it's a dream lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle none of us will ever live, but most people actually like social media because of relatability. Most people, I have a statistic on this and I'll share it with you here. Give me a second. I'll pull it up. I'll just pull it up and share it with you. It's about Facebook groups, which, by the way, Facebook groups are still, and this is a testament to Facebook, Joe, in 2023, Facebook groups remain the leading option for building an online community. But check this out. I stumbled upon these just recently. It says 73% of social media users, which is, by the way, 73% of 4.6 billion people. So 73% of social media users say that the most important group in their life is online.
Wow.
Most important group in their life. And that's one side of me is like, wow, that's really effed up. The other side of me is like, wow, that's a lot of opportunity. But it's like, I have to stop and think about it. After the last few years, it makes sense. Like, we have become more introverted. I sometimes don't leave my house for days because I work from here, and I'm not an introverted person, but it's just the way the world is going. And so 73% of social media users say the most important group in their lives is online. And then 98% of group members say they feel a sense of belonging. And so just understanding that this is where, and I'll tell you guys, it's a lot of it is the younger generations. I know some of you may or may not know this, but like 16, like when most of us probably on this call, when you turned 16, what was the first thing you wanted to do? Get your driver's license. Why? So you could have some freedom. Did you know that most teenagers nowadays, like I think the average age for getting licensed is like 17 or 18 years old? Why? Because they don't need it anymore. They're so connected, it's ridiculous. And they don't even really want to be personally connected, like in person. They just want to be virtually connected. And it won't be long. Sadly, the world's going to go to this, and we're going to be living in a virtual Oculus world. And you know, can hate it all we want, or we can figure out how to use it to our advantage. And honestly, more than anything, figure out how to connect with these audiences, because that's how they want to be connected with. Yes, a lot of our consumers right now might be baby boomers or Gen Xers, but as we all know, I mean, baby boomers there's a reason why there's a retirement home on every street corner, because they're not going to be our consumer for much longer. And Gen Xers still have a shelf life, but you've got two generations of humans that have yet to buy homes like any generation in their past. And are you meeting them where they want to be met? And the answer for most of us is no. We do it traditional ways. And you're going to learn the hard way in the next few years. When they do boom, those who are meeting, who have a social media presence are going to have a much healthier bottom line in business. I guarantee it.
Something you said just a minute ago about people only seeing 10%, of what you post, right? Only because, and hopefully some of our rescue friends will hear this, because I hear this a lot from rescues. I feel like I post too much. I have one rescue friend that says we don't want to post more than 3 times a day. Now, I don't know where that came up from or why that came up, that this is that limiting belief that's there. Is there too much? Or let me be honest, is there any time that we're going to get to too much?
I mean, I don't think there's a scientific equation to that. I mean, Gary Vaynerchuk, who's like the godfather of social media, and he invented vlogging, video blogging. He's a billionaire now, and it's a result of social media. He says he posts, I think the last time I heard him talk about it, it was like 7 times a day. That's not realistic. He's got a media team of 40 people, right? I mean, honestly, when you just said that 3 times a day, I was thinking to myself, wow, that's really impressive. The fact that they're doing 3 times a day is awesome. My argument to myself, because I have these conversations in my own head all the time, is simply, I have to remind myself, like, they're not seeing my stuff. And frankly, I know that we as a society are becoming lazier and lazier. We have an attention span of less than a goldfish. And so grabbing attention is very, very hard. Even though, again, we might think that we put out the best piece of content, or it's funny, or it's educational, whatever it is. If you don't catch the person on the other end in the right moment, you lost them. It's gone. And as soon as they pass it, they'll never find it again. How many times have I opened up an Instagram and I was like about ready to watch a video, and then I paused for a second, and then the app reset itself, and now I can't find the damn video, right? And so, like, that's the reality. And so that's why I think, to your question, Joe, that's why quantity is important, because like I use your stories. Like, everybody's familiar with stories on Instagram or Facebook. Where does it show up? At the very top, right? So even if my consumer never opens up stories, the only way my story bubble is going to show up is if I have an active story every day, and they only last 24 hours. And so my coaching says always be posting to your stories on a daily basis, and you can vomit anything and everything on your stories. There's no limit. I post 5 to 7 times a day on average on my stories. Now on my feed, once or twice a day tops. So there's no science behind that, Joe. It's just kind of, that's more of a comfort zone for me. Frankly, I'm also a coach, and, I teach this stuff. If I'm going to stand on stages and get paid to do it, I better be doing it at the highest level. That's what I feel like anyway, because there's a lot of social media experts who aren't practitioners, and that drives me bonkers. I always tell people, if you follow somebody on social who's giving you advice, go stalk them. If they're not practicing what they preach, I'd take their advice with a grain of salt. I mean, I want to learn. I want to learn from people like a Gary V, who has not only does it, but has reaped the reward from it. And, and that's me. Like, we 5x'd our business, and we've gone to places we never could have imagined. And you ask my 2 partners, they're going to say, yeah, we struggled for years. We plateaued. We couldn't figure out how to get over the hump. And then when I started doing video and social, it just started opening up a lot more doors. And so.
One of the things you preached to us with Social Genius is the pillars. Yeah. Can you explain to people what pillars of content mean?
Yeah, but so before you get started, I'll share my screen and show you what mine look like. Before you even get started, you typically will walk away from something like this, and you're inspired, and you're like, you know what, I'm all in. I'm going to do this. And this is a lot of times, most of you walk away. You might even shoot a video today. You might get in your car. You might do it immediately as we hang up because you're feeling inspired. But a day or two goes by and life happens. The next morning, the dog shits on the floor, and your kid's being an asshole, or you name it. Like, life happens, right? And it throws you off. And so establishing your pillars of content, or your superpowers, which AKA is, who are you as a human? Then you use this as your own personal cheat sheet. And it's almost like a reminder. And this is what I had to do for myself years ago when I was trying to create consistency. It's like, well, what am I going to post about every day? Like, I don't know what I'm not that creative. Right. And so this has been an evolution. In fact, I need to update this, because if you follow me, you know that my marriage content has been performing very well, and we're going to be doing more of that. And that's going to become a pillar now, because it's performing well, and it's how I connect with people. Right. And so I have business, I have family. So we all have those two pillars, different variations. It looks differently for all of us, but we all have a business and we all have family, and some of us have multiple businesses. So the second business for me is social media and video. And so that's a third pillar. And then my fourth and fifth pillars are just personal stuff. So for me, it's hobbies and daily life. I'm a big Lake of the Ozark person. Actually, my entire TikTok channel is dedicated to it. And it's kind of a geo strategy, a geographic targeted strategy. And I spend a lot of time there. So it naturally just turn on my camera more often, right? I play golf. I belong to a country club. So it's like, I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing consistently that I can consistently put out? Well, I'm going to be golfing consistently. So I'm just going to turn the camera on when I'm golfing and reminding my audience, because I know I'm going to connect with fellow golfers. I'm a bird nerd. I've got like you guys are dog nerds, I guess you could call you. I'm a bird nerd, and I have bird feeders outside, and I feed them regularly. And I have a little bird book here, and I've even got a new bird feeder with a camera on it, which is going to be really cool. And so, but it's like, those are just the thing, like whether I was on social or not, I'd be doing that. And so I just document it occasionally and share it. And I know it creates relatability. And then of course, my wife and I are into fitness and health. I mean, I'm not a licensed trainer. I'm not a licensed dietitian. I just probably do it more than the average human, And so I share it. I just talk about my journey, and I don't position myself as an expert. I just say, this is what I'm doing. And I've had many a conversation over the years of people that said, you inspired me and I lost all this weight, or you inspired me and I ran my first 5K or whatever. And I know that doing things like that is having a profound effect on their life. And that's going to become a raving fan, and raving fans refer you business. Raving fans don't forget you when they need to buy your product. And so that's kind of I would say the reasoning behind it, Joe. Is the biggest reason is to establish these pillars as your own cheat sheet. And let me give you one quick example, because I know somebody might be thinking it. And I have one example. There's always somebody in every crowd, because I speak on this a lot. And there was one in Atlanta one time, and she raised her hand and she said, so I'm a full-time nurse, part-time realtor, full-time, I'm a single mom. And so she's like, I literally have no life. Like, you do all these cool things. I'm not interesting at all. And I said, first of all, let me just correct you right there. I said, you are far more relatable to the average human than I am. Because I do have a flashier lifestyle, which is not relatable. You, on the other hand, can relate to every single mother on the planet. You can relate to every other parent on the planet who has to work 2 jobs to put food on the table. You can relate to every other parent who has kids and has to go through that routine every morning of getting ready for school, getting them ready, getting their homework done after school, getting them dinner. I said, you can relate to everyone who also has no life. And I said, you'd be surprised. You start documenting and sharing your life, the struggles that you have in your life, the wins that you have in your life. You're going to find more connection with people than I will ever find in any of my content, because of relatability, because that's what people ultimately seek. I think they seek acceptance more than anything. And, again, that's why I shared that stat, because I believe it. I believe that the way the world is going, that number is only going to grow. More and more people are going to find their people online.
We might have to bring you on, and we might have to do one of these where we just talk about the pillars, man, about finding your pillars, because I think that's, to me, that was key for me, because now everywhere I go, I'm thinking, okay, does this fall into one of my pillars? My sons play hockey. Okay, so
bingo.
Now every single time we go to hockey practice, we shoot some sort of video, whether it's Eaton or him skating by on one skate because he's showing off, whatever it is.
Yep. I'll tell you right now, Joe, you need to connect and follow Kevin Dewey. Kevin Duy. He's an EXP agent, South St. Louis. Son is a hockey player. He does a great job of putting out content, and that's one of his pillars. And he's fun to watch. I don't know if you know him, but he might inspire you to be like, oh man, I never thought about videoing that. And he does a great job.
So let me ask you, who do you follow outside of Gary Vee, but to get ideas, to get inspiration, to get education? Who do you follow?
Big social influencers, mainly, only because I want to raise the bar constantly. So, London Lazarson is a friend of ours, as you know, and so I'm paying attention to what he's doing. A lot of it is like David Goggins. So he inspires me from a fitness standpoint, but I share a lot of his content because I like his messages. Oftentimes I'm paying attention to videographers and like artists, not in the written or drawing sense in the video sense. I'm paying attention to them because I want to see what they're doing with various cuts and with various captioning and all that kind of thing. I'm paying attention to YouTubers like Mr. Beast. I'm paying attention to the best of the best, only because I want to figure out how can I integrate this in. And as you know, Joe, with me, I try to teach it on a level that is doable. One of the things I learned when I started spending a lot of time at conferences and speaking and spending time in circles with very high level achievers in that world is that you would get these people on stage and they're talking about what they're doing, and it's so unattainable and so non-duplicatable. And so I'm just like, I need to figure out how I can speak to the masses. I need to speak to the 90%, not the 10%, because there's so much opportunity and you don't have to have anything fancy. You need to have, this is your camera. You need to have here, I'll show you. I'll show you the equipment that you need to have. And it's less, you're going to spend less than $100 is when I'm done with you. So let me go back to this presentation. This is my equipment list right here. So let me actually start the slideshow so I can show you. I buy it all on Amazon. This is my favorite microphone. It's a wireless lav mic, LAV, lavalier is what it's short for. And there's many options here. And this one is 3222. The great mic. I would recommend the dual set. There's a single set versus a dual. I would get the dual in case you're ever doing any kind of interviews. You know, you go to a dog shelter and you want to interview somebody, have two. It just makes the sound crisper, especially like if you're out in public and doing public video. I would have a tripod. You need to have a tripod. You can use it as a selfie stick. You don't need a stabilizer anymore. The stabilizers in your phones are perfectly adequate. If you're doing a home walkthrough, if you're doing any kind of walkthrough, just using your selfie stick to give depth, but also for whatever reason, versus holding your phone versus holding a stick, it stabilizes a little bit better. Also, if you're going to be shooting talking head content, you want to make sure you can prop your phone up properly, and you can put it in a lot of different areas. So have one of these. This is actually my favorite one. Let me go back here. That is the brand UB size 6, and it's a 67-inch. And I can send you these links, Joe, and you can share these with everybody. I can actually send you the Amazon links. This one's $23, or at the time that I took this slide. And then lighting. These lights are small lights. I actually have one right here right now. Probably see it if I pull it in here. No, it doesn't get on camera, but it's on one of these arms. So I choose to have the arm lights. You can also get this exact same thing on tripods if you prefer. All of this, 3 lights with the filters, with the arms or the tripods, are $35 on Amazon. It's insane. It's how cheap this stuff is nowadays. And so that's all you need. It's really all you need as far as equipment is concerned.
That's just, I think it's gotten so much more affordable.
Yes.
Than where we were. And I think my darn gimbal was $150.
Oh, for sure. Just a year or a year and a half ago, I bought a Rode Rode microphone wireless mic set. That's all that existed back then. And that was like $500. I mean, it was not cheap. And it's just like all of a sudden, literally in the last like 6 months, it was one of my daughters who was like, I saw that she had one of these mics. I'm like, what is that? She's like, oh yeah, Dad, check this out. I'm like, holy shit, that just changed my life. This is sweet. It's like the same time that when my daughter introduced me to iMovie 7 years ago. And literally we're sitting on the deck at the Lake of the Ozarks and she's like, Dad, let me show you how you can edit this. And I believe I told her that day, I'm like, this is going to change my life, not realizing it really would change my life. I think I just made just a blanket statement, but so, which leads me to this. And I will say that although I've been saying this for years, I'm going to stop this share because I want to show you a slide that, I don't want to stop my share. I want to stop my presentation. Bear with me a second. Get it together here, Jeff. Where is the damn? Try that. There you go. This is actually one of my favorite quotes, which I believe I coined, which is my shitty video or post will outperform your absent one all day long. Now, I coined this probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I've meant it. My opinion on that is changing. Because of TikTok. Like TikTok has either, you could look at it from 2 different perspectives. TikTok's either ruined us or it's made us, made it more entertaining. But now if you don't commit to acquiring some basic editing skills. And by basic, I'm talking about mobile editing. This isn't fancy stuff. It's going to get harder and harder because of TikTok, because you talk to anybody who's basically 10 to 25 years old. I bet you 98 or 9% know how to edit videos. It's second nature for them. And it's not second nature for an older generation. And so it's something we have to acquire. And I can tell you, my daughter, who's now 19, she was 13 at the time, taught me how to edit. And it's just, that was second nature to her. And then I just took it serious, Joe. I just said, you know what, I need to figure out how to do this. I want to do it better. And you're living proof of that. You're doing it yourself. And so these are the two apps that we recommend if you really want to take it serious. I use Viva Video. CapCut's far more popular only because CapCut is actually built into TikTok. So there's a partnership there. So CapCut just became more popular, but they're basically the exact same thing. Most editing apps are the same thing. And these are very affordable. You can get the free version, but it'll come with a watermark. And as anybody understands social, they know that if you have a watermark on your video when you post it to social, it will likely be suppressed. So you ultimately want to get the paid version at some point. I always tell people that's when I know you're committed to this, when you're willing to pay for it. And by pay, it's like $30 a year for the subscription. And they run specials where you can buy a lifetime membership. I think I paid $60 for a lifetime membership. And so it's dirt cheap. It's basically nothing. And then it's a commitment to using it. It's a commitment to getting better at it. It's a commitment to understanding how to use it and what to do. And honestly, it makes your video shooting life, Joe, you could probably attest to this. When you start shooting video and you really suck at it, and you're not eloquent, and you got to stop and start over and stop and start over. When you learn how to edit, it makes all of that so much easier, because now you can screw up, start to where you stopped, and then go back into the editing act, cut it out. And you can do this within minutes. Oftentimes when I'm out with my family and I'm videoing my daughter or something, usually I will edit while I'm out and post it while I'm out. And it takes me about 4 minutes. It's not cutting into, because people, it's cutting into your family time. It's like, trust me, my wife's not going to let that cut too much into family time. I've just gotten good at it, and I just can bang it out really fast. But you know why I got good at it? Because I practice a lot. Well, I will share onto the group, guys, just so you guys have it. The video that I watched, it's like 17 minutes to learn CapCut. And yeah, that's all I've done. I have done no other learning of CapCut other than that and playing with it over the last little bit. And I will say, I do my videos in 10 minutes. The one thing to Jeff's point that really hit home with me once I learned to edit is I never speak. I do a minute video. I don't speak for a minute. I speak in 10-second pieces or 4-second pieces and then piece them in. And it's that way. If I mess up, it doesn't matter. It's easy to record that 5-10 seconds. I know Jeff's got a hard stop here shortly. So yeah, I've got all the way to the hour. I'm actually texting Tristan now just to tell him be on early so he can start it. The one thing I did want to mention to you guys, if you guys do not follow Drunk on Social on Facebook, on Insta too, right? Everywhere. You guys should be TikTok, following YouTube, Drunk on everywhere. Social and following Jeff and Tristan and them with all that they do. There's a couple of us in the pack that are actually in Social Genius too, which is their coaching program. Yep. Myself and Caitlin both are. Guys, I can tell you just from my own video, from the time I started, which was, I think my first coaching session was the end of December. We went from about 200 to 300 views per video to over 2,000. If I have a video that's out for more than 2 weeks, it's over 2,000. So, who's the guy that always says 10X? What's that guy? Yeah, Grant Cardone. Oh, right. There you go. And Joe, more than 10Xing what we were doing. I want to comment on that too, because that's another great point that a lot of people will ask. Usually it's you mentioned it earlier. It's like your videos that go the most viral are usually like, you did put no thought into them. And literally I was videoing sitting right here. There was 2 bunnies in my yard hopping over each other, like playing. And I just grabbed my phone and videoed it. I posted it to my story. It was cute. One of my daughters was like, Dad, why don't you share that as a reel? And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. So like a week or 2 later, I shared it as a reel. Last I checked, it was 47,000 views. It's just stupid. And then the next question is, well, that's great, Jeff, but what does that have to do with business? Well, here's how it works. The more eyeballs that you get on your content, the more people are now going to go stalk your profile. They're going to look at your profile. A fraction of those people, 5, 10, 15 are now going to follow you. That's 5, 10, 15 people that now just pulled into your web. And then another piece of that fraction is actually going to go stalk your content. They're going to go look for more bunny rabbits or more whatever it is they're looking for. You guys taking candy from a baby, they're going to see a dog post. They're going to be like, oh my God, that's amazing. I want to go look at Christina's content. And I'm picking on you because you're the first name that popped up and I see pet behind you, but they're going to do that. And then they're going to go down the Christina Cash rabbit hole. And I've had people actually call me before and be like, you asshole, I just spent an hour watching your videos. And I'm just giggling to myself thinking, cha-ching, like I'm in your brain now. You can't get rid of me. And that's really the name of the game. So even though the content might have nothing to do with real estate, because you're sprinkling in what you do, your bio says what you do, they're not there for real estate content. But I tell you what, they're going to fall in love with you because of your animals. And it's going to just create that tight relationship to they're going to remember you because now they told the algorithm, show me more Christina. Now, Christina, every time she posts, they're going to pop up on their feed. Now, when they are ready to buy or sell, who do you think they're probably going to think of first? Like, I'll take those odds all day long.
I love it, man. This has been awesome. I think I am going to try to bring you back though when we can talk with the rest of you people, because that would be a blast just to hear the way your mind works with some of the content that they come up with.
Yeah. I see a question here too, Jamie. Know more about Reels versus feed. So Reels, feed, same thing. Facebook, Instagram. Reels is just the way they title videos now. Now they also have a Reels feed. So there's a traditional feed where all of your content goes. My Reels go to my standard feed. Static posts goes to your just an image goes to your regular feed, and Reels have their own separate feed, but they also go to your normal feed. So honestly, Reels are by far where you should be dedicating most of your time on Facebook or Instagram. They're getting the most reach. Also, when I post most of my Reels, not only is it going to the Reels tab or the Reels feed, it's going to the normal feed. I also share it to my story. So I'm just bam, 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 bam. I'm just popping it everywhere I can. And so it just opens up the most opportunity. I do recommend, and we recommend, and we're paying attention to this stuff, like focus on the features in the platforms are pushing the most. And so right now, Instagram and Facebook are pushing Reels. So that's where you need to be dedicating the majority of your time. Did
that answer, Jamie?
Yep. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Jeff, I really appreciate you, man.
You bet, man. And
you'll be having Jamie, a real estate pet project hoodie coming to you here shortly.
Oh, sweet. I love it.
Got his last week.
Hey, I wear that stuff too. So you're going to get some love.
Well, brother, I will talk to you soon. And I certainly appreciate you. And everybody, like I said, go follow Drunk on Social. And if you want more about the coaching program, reach out to Jeff or reach out to me or Caitlin.
And go. And honestly, again, I do this stuff as a practitioner. I do this stuff to inspire. So go follow me and just use that as your inspiration. I'll probably entertain you slightly too, but just go follow. And honestly, and the other reason is because I'm very engaged on all my notifications. So if you tag me in a post, if you message me on a platform, I will always reply. And so if you want to connect with me, it's honestly the best place to find me is on social, wherever you spend time.
And watch the marriage content because those are pretty funny.
Yeah. My wife and I like to mess with each other. My wife likes to almost put me in 6 feet under. So,
well, man, thank you so much. Thanks everybody for watching. And as always, have your pet spayed and neutered.
Bob Barker. Love it. See you guys.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.